Your email inbox is a ticking time bomb. It could go off at any moment, derailing you from what you actually want to work on, and honestly, I think it's having a massive impact on our mental health. So how can we make it better? Because after all, when we're deciding what to work on to improve next in our firm, shouldn't you start with the stuff you spend most of your time on? That's probably email right up here. Well, at the bottom is that continuing education technical training where you don't even know if it applies to your client until you've finished the training. Oops, there they go. Okay, back to work. So here are 10 tips to make email suck less, some solutions that are not the right answer. I'm looking at you, named inbox guy, payroll@yourfirm.com, and I'll share how AI is actually about to make a whole lot of this a lot better. Okay, first tip to make email suck less, don't use the inbox. When you're in your email, you're probably hanging out in the inbox folder where everything comes in, and that is super demoralizing when you're knocking stuff out and new messages keep piling in. It also leads to you spending more time on it than you initially planned, because when you first fire up that inbox, you do this quick calc of, okay, here's what I got and how long it's probably gonna take me, but then stuff keeps piling in and it inevitably takes more time than you planned on. So instead, pull over the emails that you're going to work on today into a different folder. Leave the others, the ones you're not gonna work on today, and just pull emails over to a today folder that you're gonna do today. Nice work, you are no longer running in the quicksand that is that inbox. Number 2, don't leave email open all day, buddy. Now that you've got this folder of all the emails you're gonna knock out today, you only need to have it open while you're actually working on those emails. It is wild to think of just how distracted we are these days. Studies say it takes something like 25 minutes to get into deep work mode. But if you think about all the communication channels we have, email, team chat, other people in the office, the phone, text, social media messages, do we even make it through a single day without being interrupted every 25 minutes? In all likelihood, you're probably getting interrupted like every 5 minutes, which is keeping you from actually doing meaningful work. And I am especially looking at you, fourth monitor guy. We're using extra monitors to simply park things that distract us. They are actively working against us. And the counter argument with email here is, what if something urgent comes in? What if I miss it? So we're willing to neuter our productivity all the time, every minute of the workday, in order to cover the possibility that something urgent might be emailed to you? Buddy, that ain't the play. Close that email when you aren't using it. And so many of you know this, but you still don't close it. So fun little exercise, ask yourself why that is. Like, dig into the psychology of why you can't close your email. Take, 20 minutes to journal about it. Why can't I close that inbox? For me, it was the pitch black darkness inside of me that needed to be needed. It felt good when somebody emailed me, until it felt bad. Up next, practice digital hygiene. Many of us are getting a massive amount of junk in our inboxes. Weekly newsletters you never read, stuff from brands you bought something from once, useless notification emails from our software tools. Many of the emails we get are sent to us from machines, and they are drowning out the emails we actually want from humans. Don't worry about letting down the machines. So dig yourself out of that mess, practice some inbox hygiene, start blocking and unsubscribing people. And a quick aside here about tools and tech to solve these problems. I've heard people say, I'm okay now, I can manage my own email because insert tool has made it better. That's like saying I'm just gonna go do all the work in my firm now because we found a tool that makes us more efficient. Tools can help, yes, and we should lean into them, but your firm needs a methodology to how you approach email. Not just for you, for your entire team. For example, we use a help desk tool for our email. It's magic. That's really cool. A feature I love for many PMs now is you can assign emails to colleagues, and that is great, but you know what we did before we had that technology? We forwarded the email. And that works too. But what's more important is for your firm to have an agreed upon methodology for delegating emails, for setting communication expectations with clients. No tool will do that job for you. So I am all for tools helping you save time, but it is not a replacement for building better systems and delegating. Up next, build a fast lane for machine email. Well, we use group email inboxes. You might have heard of them. You know, payroll@myfirm.com, support@myfirm.com. Hell, wow, so edgy. Like enterprise support. Totally impersonal, not even slightly enterprise. I did this, I really did, and it genuinely sucks because people just want to talk with a human. They're wondering who is the person behind this? Is it the person that I know? But These named inboxes are helpful in one scenario. That is to create a fast lane for the automated emails you actually want to keep. A few examples. Invoices that need to go to a bill pay system. Use invoices at myfirm.com or something like that, and then create an email rule to auto route those to where they need to go. If there's an automated email from a service that you actually want to get, like say a notification when a credit card is near its limit, use an email alias to auto route that info to a Slack channel or wherever it actually needs to go. Eliminate daily emails and just create handling for the exceptions. Now this could be for internal stuff. It can also be for client emails. We managed tons of email aliases on behalf of our clients so that they could send us automated emails about all sorts of stuff that we then auto-routed to the correct destination. And the upside is you're keeping all of those recurring machine emails out of a human being's inbox. A huge percentage of things that fill our inboxes are machine-generated recurring emails. Find a way to weed out as many of those as possible. Up next, build a daily ritual. The stress from email is an ambiguous one that's kind of always hanging over you. So let's put some boundaries around it. Block out an hour or two on your calendar every single day and just work on it then. Now, I'm not talking about real work, like heavy lifting that then needs to be delivered over email. I'm talking about triage, working through the stuff that you got. Instead of letting the email monster loom over you all day, time block it, same time every day, and you'll find that you stress about email less when you are working on what you actually want to work on, because it's now more compartmentalized. Up next, operate within expectations. Develop explicit expectations for how quickly you will respond to emails, as well as how quickly your team will respond to emails. For me, this looked like 3 business days. For my team, it was 1 business day. Now, you may have a part of your team that will respond immediately. It may make sense depending on the need of your clients. And when it comes to clients emailing you, this time expectation becomes a really helpful forcing function to get clients to go to your team for the day-to-day stuff and only go for you for the bigger picture stuff that's generally not quite so urgent. But, and this is the trap, you have to consistently follow that turnaround time, which may mean scheduling some messages to go out in the future. And a lot of folks don't like this. This guy, I already wrote the email. Why would I not just send it? Hey, I get it. Why overcomplicate things, right? Because it trains them to expect an immediate response next time. That's just how human beings work. I don't like it any more than you do, and I don't want to set that expectation. Now, there can be exceptions to this. Maybe you let people text you and expect an immediate reply. If that's your firm model, great. Just recognize that is like a huge level of service that folks need to be paying for and is gonna come with some pretty big long-term limitations around your capacity. Okay, up next, enforce a system for your team. Their productivity is just as important as yours, and they struggle with this just like you do, if not more, because the turnaround expectation for them is likely shorter. Now, a systematic approach to email is valuable to you because you can create this daily protocol where nothing slips through that frees up your mind due to its structure. Rather than it being this thing that's looming over your day, this protocol is absolutely necessary for your team as well. So how do you design something that works for your team? It could start with something as simple as sending them this video to start a conversation and work towards just having a little one-pager. Here's how our firm handles email. Here's what you do and what you don't do. And what you'll find is your team is relieved when you explicitly outline expectations around things like how quickly they have to respond to emails and whether they need to be monitoring their inbox all the time. Now, quick word from this video's sponsor before I run you through how I genuinely delegated like 80% of my email and how AI is about to make this stuff actually a whole lot better. But this week, LiveFlow, that's the sponsor. You know what to do. And you already know what LiveFlow does. It's a killer way to sync live data from your QuickBooks Online files to Google Sheets, but they recently launched, frankly, an awesome consolidation tool. We actually did a whole video on this last month. Search Jason CPA consolidation in the YouTube search. Highly recommend you check that out. You will be impressed. A few situations where this consolidations functionality would have saved me a massive amount of time. One, monthly reporting for company groups, big and small. We did company groups from 2 companies up to maybe 25 companies or so. And rolling up that company reporting on a monthly basis was a nightmare. I was not a Google firm. We used Office 365. I would have rolled Google Sheets, plugged into LiveFlow to literally save us tens of hours every single month on this. Doesn't matter if you're a Google firm or not. Number 2, rolling up separate locations. I worked with dental clinics who ran each location in a separate LLC, had their own set of books, would have greatly simplified consolidating all that reporting each month. And 3, for tax reporting and planning, These LLCs were generally owned by a single S corp for tax purposes, but in order to do any planning, we had to first combine all this stuff into a single set of reports. Super nasty, right? Now it's really smart the way they set this up. Learn more about LiveFlow, check out the link in the video description, or check out the video that we just did last month. Now let's talk about delegation. We've got a pretty good system now, just getting into that email once a day, not working out of the inbox. And now when we augment this with another human being, pure nirvana. It's not nirvana, it's still email. But for me, that looked like them coming into my email before I got to my time-blocked time of the day, taking care of everything that someone else can handle, and only moving things to my today folder that I have to be the one to handle. They should not be replying as you. They should be directing emails to the correct team member for a reply. Maybe for stuff they can handle, they're replying themselves, or they're drafting a reply for me to review and send. Then, and this is a biggie, have them send you a daily FYI summary so you are still in the loop on what's going on. They write one line about everything that came in and they took care of without your knowledge. You get that all in a single digest so that when you bump into that client at swim team practice, you can still look like you're plugged into things. I genuinely reduced my email volume by about 80% with just these steps. And this last delegation step, it actually led to the delegation of real work. At the time I was running a 40-person firm. I had fully transitioned from working in the firm to working on the firm. I did no client work. So when an email had to come through to me, I could push back and say, you're telling me I have 40 people working for me and nobody else can do this thing but me? Usually the answer was no. But when things did come to me, it usually meant we needed to designate a new subject matter expert on, say, a technical matter or tool, or, and this is a common one, the last time we'd gotten a message like this, I had swooped in to be the hero, and this time sending it to me was now the path of least resistance. Yeah, heroes, you know who you are. Okay, up next, man, get HR out of the inbox. A blocker to delegation for many firms is they send sensitive internal stuff to staff inboxes. So because staff get 1 or 2 sensitive emails a month, like a pay stub or a 401k notice, that ends up dictating how hundreds or thousands of emails a month get handled. The solution, use a different channel to manage AR stuff. Your email inboxes are how work gets done. It's like when Netflix was still mailing DVDs. If a guy took his grocery deliveries at the DVD return address, and then he was the only guy that could manage the intake of DVD returns as a result, because his groceries might arrive, that might be the worst analogy I've ever heard. When everyone in your firm can see everyone else's inboxes, it means greater client information transparency. It means somebody can take a day off and another person can cover their inbox. Opens up a ton of new flexibility. How about asking a colleague to monitor your inbox for urgent stuff? We used to have junior team members do this for senior team members so they could focus on their work, and the junior folks learned a ton in the process. I had a team member who only wanted to work a few days a week, but would still check their email every single day, and I said, nope, Jim over here, he's gonna monitor your inbox when you are away, so unplug, be with your family. If something really urgent comes in, we'll notify you, and it virtually never did. How much better is that? When you look at it that way, frankly, it's awful that we have this propriety over our inboxes, rather than trying to help each other out. Now my last tip, probably the most important one, just start. Don't overthink it. Don't get too fixated on what the perfect system for you is going to be. My system definitely changed over time. Just start. Stop planning so hard. Okay, AI. How is AI about to make this stuff way better? Well, we are starting to see some really cool functionality around generative AI email replies. That is, your practice management system uses a large language model and generates a draft reply for you, taking into account all of that conversational history. So here we're talking about cloud practice management systems that incorporate email. You send your emails out of the practice management system. And the basic versions that we have right now are pretty good. If you've done much writing with ChatGPT, you know it's not bad. Now these things can still get way better by pulling in more information from your practice management system. Think about things like the statuses of projects, past meeting transcripts, that thing your colleague just emailed the client yesterday. Wouldn't that be good to know when I'm sending an email? Imagine an AI email assistant that when you get that email asking for a copy of last year's tax return, drafts a reply, here you go, Jim, and attaches a copy of last year's tax return, which is in the file system. It already has it, right? We're really close to that being a reality. And honestly, that is just the tip of the iceberg when you think about the other things your practice management system is connected to, like client accounting ledgers, like the file system and being able to see into tax returns and stuff like that. See all of your email history with the client, the tone of voice that you use with that client. Really exciting stuff that's in the works. and is why I'm bullish on cloud practice management systems for accountants that are integrated with email. We're gonna see a ton of investment in this year, and this week on my podcast, I'm running through my AI predictions for the accounting space for 2024. That all comes from a ton of AI research, consulting and thought leadership I do with software companies in our space. That episode's gonna drop a little later this week. Sub to the podcast channel here. That's the YouTube feed, and I'll put the link to the podcast feed in the video description. Now go get out from under that email.